Hello guys, this is your girl Najwa. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy you're here. If you have not already, please go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. Click the bell so you know whenever I post video. So, I don't get Jordan Peterson. I don't get Jordan Peterson. Now, I just made a video talking about, calling for peace among atheists and people of faith, and really having an open mind enough to have a productive conversation without anybody's feelings getting too hurt. And that's what you find in a lot of TikTok threads, YouTube threads, Reddit threads, Instagram threads discussing Jordan Peterson on his own, on his own channels himself. You find a lot of people who are really defending him. And, I feel like he has gotten this label of pseudo-intellectual, not necessarily because he's a terrible person, not necessarily because of the people coming after him are misguided, but more so because of the people who seem to worship him. It just seems like they are young men who haven't really opened themselves up to see that there is so much wealth of information out there, and it doesn't end and begin with Jordan Peterson. It's like, maybe I'm getting this because I'm a millennial, and up until the age of, I would say, like 16, 17, high-speed internet and mobile internet was just not as developed and advanced as it is today. So if we wanted to go and read something, yes, we could go to the library and hop on the computer, or if we had a computer at home, we could take a look. But oftentimes that involved going to the library. Guys, I know some people are like, a library? But it involved going to a library. So yes, when I've read about other philosophers who have helped shape the ideas and sensical beliefs and, political beliefs that I have today, it involved actually reading those things in books. It involved reading Aristotle and Plato and Homer and Walt Whitman and Langston Hughes. Like, it involved literally going and studying things in a book. And for me, when I was younger, a lot of the criticism that Jordan Peterson gets is that he seems to sometimes step outside of clinical psychology, which is like his domain, into politics, which is okay. I mean, I make commentary on politics on this channel too, and I'm not a politician. Like, dude, okay, free world. But the implications for him having a certain level of patriarchal white male privilege in this world, and especially where radical groups are rising up, a lot of those radical groups being made up of young men who have been radicalized, yeah, maybe just think about the things that you say a little bit more. Like, it's basically like he has an audience that is very, very susceptible, very, very vulnerable to a certain extent. And, even just my brothers, my parents got divorced when I was 13, but there was sort of a long road up to that. And I sort of saw one of my brothers who was on the younger end deal with that in a different way, deal with my dad not being as present as he was kind of during the time where my parents were in the most functional part of their relationship. Not having that male figure around was difficult. And, for my other brothers who did have him around, he was quite strict. And so sometimes that manifested itself in sort of these existential crises. And the people who follow Jordan Peterson are young white men for the most part. And what marginalized group? Because do not be mistaken. Whites are being marginalized right now. I know blacks are probably going to hear that and they're going to be like, what? Why? Because they are becoming a minority. They are. Like, it's slowly happening. And Maybe it's karma, maybe it's actually what's supposed to happen, maybe it's just the nature of things, but I feel like for many, that's very uncomfortable. And for the young who are maybe less educated, maybe they haven't really delved into those books. They haven't delved into those books outside of Jordan Peterson. They haven't delved into the Mark Twains or, whoever it might be, whoever inspires you. And so they look at this and they see, oh my God, I found a place where I feel like I finally belong. And when somebody goes after Jordan Peterson, it is like, what is happening? It's like their worldview is being shaken because a lot of these people have adopted Jordan Peterson almost to like a cultist extent. Now, I don't claim by any means to be so smart or so high and mighty about myself that I know everything. I don't. I've got 3 expensive degrees and 10 years of experience, and I can clearly say that for the rest of my life, I am going to be a student of life. And so I don't try to pick up an opinion that's very radical too quick, because I know that life is just so much more nuanced than that. But what Jordan Peterson says, some of the stuff he says, I'm like, wow, like that's really beautiful and poetic. Other stuff, it really goes over my head. And I have 3 degrees. I have a degree in advertising design with a minor in art history. I studied art direction and advertising and digital marketing strategy. So those are by no means like politics or philosophy or law. But I have had those courses on politics and philosophy and law and economics. And yeah, so it just seems to me that what we have here is sort of like myself. Sometimes I get on here on my channel and I'm just talking because you guys are my community and I like talking with you guys. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm over here at like a rant over here in Wyoming, but I started off in Canada. Like what just happened? I like that. That's the beauty of philosophy. But oftentimes I'm a little bit lost, and sometimes the things that he talks about seems contradicting. One of my favorite quotes is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's like, so what if I contradict myself? That's what life is about. And I'm loosely quoting, but life is full of contradictions. Like I might say something today and contradict myself tomorrow. So what? But it's really not the problem exactly. Jordan Peterson isn't necessarily the problem. What he's saying, some of the things that he's saying is problematic. It's more so the following that he has that's problematic, and not being cognizant of that and saying, okay, how can I say this so that this is more inclusive to all people and not just young white males under the age of 20? Like, how can I pull some of the Indians? How can I pull some of the blacks? How can I pull some of the Koreans and Chinese? Okay? And then how can I pull, subcultures aside, how can I pull differing races and countries and socioeconomic classes? But you're pulling like one group, very similar, not with the same rhetoric, but like Donald Trump, he's pulling basically one group towards this doctrine. They're becoming radicalized, and people look at it like a cult. That's how people look at it. And it's not good. So anyway, we're going to look at something together for those of you who aren't really familiar about Jordan Peterson. And I want you guys to see what it is that I'm experiencing, because I consider myself as someone who is, I don't know, like fairly intelligent. I have this pulled up here. It's like 20 minutes long, so we're not going to watch the whole thing. Let's maybe try to go through like, I don't know, 5 minutes of it. But I encourage you to watch as much of it as you can. I mean, I got up to 13 minutes. But, yeah, let's take a look at this.
There are terrible. So people often.
And just to note, in my last video, I talked about how there needs to be more of an open, compassionate conversation between atheists and people of faith. And Jordan Peterson is someone who was absolutely considered atheist, and there is that stigma amongst atheists and people of faith where atheists think that they're like hot shit and think that they're really, really, really intelligent. And that's okay. It's okay to think that you're intelligent, but humility is a virtue. And, to trash something that's been here for millennia and think that you have all the answers, it can be quite overwhelming for one little person. And after I had kind of seen that discourse, that really nasty, toxic discourse between atheists and people of faith, I had kind of gone to look at who some of their leaders were, and I stumbled upon Jordan Peterson. This is I watched a few videos before about him giving public speaking about troubles that you may be having with bad managers. And actually, at the time that I had a bad manager, it was a source of comfort for me, and it was something that I found interesting. But even back then, I just was like, wow, he's really kind of out there. Like, I wasn't completely following 100%, but I thought what he said was interesting. Now, this is the same thing. As a person of faith, I look at this and I see someone who might be a little bit misguided. But, okay, let's look at it together. Maybe you can follow it better than me, and you guys let me know what you think.
So people often ask me, do you believe in God? Which I don't like that question. I don't like that question. I don't like that question. Yeah, I don't like the question. People have asked me whether or not I believe in God, and I've answered in various ways. No, but I'm afraid he probably exists. That's... The traditions bind the community together. Now, I'm saying that, and I don't go to church, and the reason I don't go to church is because, well, it drives me crazy, to speak frankly. I haven't been able to sit in a situation like that.
First, can I just say I find it ironic that they use that quote at the beginning about, wolf in sheep's clothing, beware of false prophets and things like that, because people think that Jordan Peterson is a prophet. And I guess this is like a rebuttal, because to me, I think that this video is clearly I'm not sure if this is his channel. All in all, I'm not really very informed on this movement, but I think that this is his channel, or I think it's one of his supporters. And it seems like they are sympathizing with what he's saying. Not to say that I'm not sympathizing with what he's saying, but I don't see him as prophet. So yeah, but I see him as they're striking up kind of occultist leading. It's sort of pseudoscience, pseudo-intellectual kind of stuff, but let's just keep going. Let's keep going.
Ever since I was, ever, really, that's really the truth of it, ever, I'm not convinced that that's a good thing, because I do believe, and I've had good conversations about this with Jonathan Pageau, I do believe that communal return to the source of the community's ethics is actually a necessary thing. And maybe I'm atoning for my past sins by doing these biblical lectures at the moment, which is something that's communal. And then, because there's also something about going where a bunch of other people are to reaffirm your commitment to the good that you're all aiming at, that's got some power in it. And I don't think that that's something that we should forego. I think it's dangerous. I mean, look, even if you're cynical about church, and I guess I would put myself in that category, it's certainly the case that communal church going in the 1950s, say, provided the average person with at least an hour a week where they were contemplating, no matter how poorly, the purpose of ethics in life and the idea of a higher purpose and a higher meaning in life. And you got to think that spending an hour a week thinking about that is better than never doing it at all.
So that right there I find to be a bit condescending. I think that he meant well. I think that he was well intentioned in that, but it comes from a place of like, those people way back when they did that was like a source of comfort for them. I mean, I don't know. I guess it is. You know, it's you can see that it's like kind of condescending, but I think that it didn't come from a place of vindictiveness or a place of ill intention. Um, but I do think that when you, I don't know, when you observe it, I think that right now where we are with faith traditions and religion, I feel like many of his followers think that we should know better than that now. Like that we've graduated past that. We're smarter than that. We've evolved past that. Um, but I mean, he himself has also talked about battling things like depression. So I mean, yeah, I'm not sure if it's purely sympathizing with people who have faith traditions or if it's something that's condescending. But let's keep going.
Doing it at all. I don't know how that tradition can be revivified in a meaningful way, but I really do think it's a catastrophe that we've lost it, because we don't have a center, an ethical center that holds our community together, and the consequence of that is that we're fragmenting quite badly. But what you see there is if you view someone with love, then it's incumbent upon you to treat them as if they're valuable. And then the more you treat other people as if they're valuable, the better person you are. That just comes along for the ride in some sense. So none of that seems questionable to me. That seems solid. And so then maybe the more love you view other people with, the higher the moral demand that's placed on you. And then I would say too, well then, that's another reason why it's so important to be truthful and in some sense to be good, because it isn't obvious to me that you can withstand that moral load if you're compromised by too much sin. It's too much. And that's another thing that we're not very good at teaching young people about. You know, we shouldn't do that. You know, it's like there's a sanctimonious authority that goes along with that that's the wrong tone. It's more like, you know, I don't know how you lay it out properly, but you tell people that you love how to avoid the road to hell. And you don't do that because you're shaking your finger at them or because you're a moral authority. You do it because you don't want them to burn.
So ultimately, I actually like what Jordan Peterson has to say here. I just think that his manner of speaking can lose a lot of people, and sometimes it's not very clear on exactly what he's trying to say. I find some of the things that he's trying to say a bit confusing, and I think that, I mean, at the end of the day, he's just like a white dude who's saying some pretty cool stuff, and he's attracted a cult following. I mean, I have less of a problem with the guy and more of a problem with the cult following. That's pretty much it, you know. And no shade to any white people. My husband's white, like I've said on this channel. But white privilege and radicalization, it's showing more and more every day that there are very close correlations with that. And so I just think maybe some more diversity, maybe on the panels of the people he discusses with in terms of gender or ethnicity, in terms of even religion. You know, he's talking about religion here, and I don't hear any mention of the Bible. I don't hear any mention of Jesus. I don't hear any mention if it's Islam or Judaism or Buddhism that is attracting him. I don't hear any of that. And the moment where he starts crying, I really feel like that's genuine. That does feel genuine. And that I feel like there's some truth of what he's saying. You know, I get it that religion and faith has long been since been a comfort for people, you know, and sort of a insurance policy, if you will. Like you know, you don't have this authority over people because
you hate them, but you do it because you don't want them to burn. I get that. I get that. But at the same time, there's so much love and depth and devotion and sacrifice of at least the Christian God, as well as, the God of the Quran. I mean, I grew up Muslim, and I feel like if he would have made some references in there, but he says at the very beginning, he can barely go to church. And I feel like that's essentially why religion has been on such a decline for a very long time, is because people are restless and they act as if they have all the answers. And then life kicks their butt and they show up at a church door like, oh crap, I don't have all the answers. And then the cycle starts again. I have all the answers. And then suddenly they're back, on their knees talking to God, praying for help. You were to come to God when you weren't at your absolute worst. Um, but yeah, like I said, I don't really have much of a problem with Jordan Peterson. It's just the cults like following. And like I said, I would tell those young men or those people who really feel like this is a prophet and they have attached themselves to him so much. Keep exploring. Don't end your journey of knowledge with Jordan Peterson. Go out and go to an old school library. But guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments because I want to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think about Jordan Peterson? Let me know. Again, don't really have too much of a problem with the guy. I think he's interesting. I just think the cult thing is weird. So yeah, tell me what you think, and I will see you in the next video. If you have not already, please go ahead, do me a favor, click the like and subscribe button, hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video. See you next time. Bye.